The Chicago Bulls will be heading out of town for the training camp, heading to Nashville, Tennessee. We're going to talk about the training camp schedule, how going out of Chicago for training camp actually could be best for the team. And we're going to talk about Carlik Jones and Nikola Vucevic absolutely cooking over in FIBA. We're going to get into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host here, Haize. You guys can follow the channel, more importantly, at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the content for today. And so late yesterday, we got the Bulls releasing their training camp schedule. Now, this was a lot of thought was going into this, like as far as media day. So we'll have media day October 2nd, right? So that is less than a month away. The Bulls will have their media day. That's when we're going to get a lot of interviews from players. They're going to be asked questions about what they did over the summer, expectations coming into the season. We'll get to hear from AK and probably Mark Eversley, as well as Billy Donovan there as well. And so there's going to be a lot of content to come out of media day, and that's always kind of the unofficial start of the season, right? That's when players are reporting. That's when we start getting interviews and we start getting more details. It's been kind of the dead part of the offseason. So that's when things are going to start picking back up. But one of the things that was released yesterday in that as well is that the Bulls will be holding their preseason their training camp in Nashville, Tennessee, of all places, where the Bulls do actually own a facility in Nashville. I had no idea that they did that, but they're going to be hosting their training camp in Nashville, Tennessee, all leading into their preseason opener against the Bucks on October 8th. So basically from October 3rd, that's when they're going to start holding practices until they face the Bucks October 8th. They'll be in Tennessee, and this is good for a couple of reasons for the Chicago Bulls. We've talked about how important it is for this team to really build their identity this offseason, right? And build it specifically in training camp, to build that for the new players, the players overall to just kind of come together. And so being away, right? Being in Nashville, away from Chicago, even though not every player lives in Chicago in the offseason, but to be kind of away from that, away from the distractions, right? And just be able to focus on this team in the offseason work and the training camp work that's needed to be done for this team to set so much, right? I think that that's important for the team to do that. And so, they made this decision apparently late last month. They made the decision. So this is not like an all of a sudden thing where the Bulls are just deciding to go to Nashville. This was a thought out process between it. And so it could be marketing. It could be just to use the facility. It could be to bring a more awareness. But I do think that the players, right, and what we have to accomplish this offseason can all benefit greatly from going out in Nashville. And so this is an important training camp for the Chicago Bulls. I think that, when you look at what they have to really try to set, right, the defensive identity, to figure out who's going to be the starting point guard, and maybe even have those training camp battles with who's going to be the starting power forward. Yeah, a lot of that's going to be decided as well in preseason, but the Bulls are making the steps to get to do those things. And so this, like I said, it's a very important training camp. I don't want to overstate it, but I don't want to understate either how important this training camp is for the Chicago Bulls, a one in which Vooch has already said this could be the last run for this core, right? And, while we've talked about the validity and stuff and all that and what that could actually mean, this is an important run for the Bulls, right? It's important for them to come in and really set the expectation to really figure out what they are going to be this season, to figure out a standard of play. They have a lot they need to figure out. Billy Donovan came into last year's training camp saying that they needed to establish identity. We didn't get that established. So it's even more paramount that they do that this offseason and, maybe going away, being able to focus. All you got to do is basketball. Listen, Nashville is a fun city on top of that. So I hope they don't get caught off by the distractions, but just focus on your craft and to focus on this team coming together, to focus on what any new wrinkles into the playbook, anything new like that, new players into the rotation, new roles players are going to have, which I would assume was going to have a way bigger role. I mean, way different role, because we don't know how big that role is going to be or how much he's going to actually play, but he's going to have a way different role than what he's come into the last two off seasons with. So, there's tons of questions around that, but I do think that this is best. And I'm glad that we do have these dates now set for the Chicago Bulls. We know what's going to be coming. We know what this team has to do and how they need to execute. And overall, yeah, like I said, it's the best for the team. It's the best for the franchise. And so, we got preseason games coming up against the Bucks and others. So, within the next month, we're going to be talking about Bulls basketball. And that is an exciting point in time, right? We want to see the Bulls play. We got 5 preseason games up. We host the Timberwolves. To start off the season. So we want to do that, but like we need to come in and to really allow this training camp period to be a training camp that we use to jumpstart our season and the preseason. We need all that to happen. And so it's a hugely important one. They'll be doing it at Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee. So be on the lookout for that. And so, people have started, wondering if Reinsdorf is looking at things in Tennessee. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But the teams aren't moving. It's not happening. But overall, Bulls training camp. And when you look at things that are important in training camp for the Bulls to do, right? The starting lineup definitely needs to be figured out. We have to figure out that starting lineup. Who's going to be starting at point guard, even though I think Javon Carter is going to be the starter there. You guys know I've been very consistent with that, even though some Bulls fans and things disagree with that. But I do think Javon Carter is going to be starting. Just Patrick Williams. What we've heard things like Patrick Williams is really, his mentality has changed some this offseason. Going in training camp, we're going to get the interview. We're going to get an interview from him, hear about what that does. But we're also going to get to see, right, how they are performing in practice, who's going after who, right? Things like that. So you want this team to set that tone in training camp. Is it going to be fully established in training camp? No, but you want to start beginning to set that tone there because that's going to help you jump off into the season into a much better period. We have to have a solid preseason. We have to come into the season prepared. And it's a different offseason for Bulls fans. It's a lot different than what we've become accustomed to and what we've seen lately for the Chicago Bulls team. Nothing's given, right? And the Bulls are in a consistent evaluation period. And so, we'll see. We'll see. Training camp, preseason, all 2Ks getting released tomorrow, right? So it's just like while football season is kicking off this weekend, the mindset and with basketball content is starting to change as well. And we're going to start having some fun around here. So, let me know your thoughts. What do you think about the Bulls going out to Nashville to actually have their training camp? Do you think, like me, that having, removing yourself, kind of isolating yourself as a team there in Nashville away from the city of Chicago could help build that mindset and establish that identity as the team's trying to come into this offseason with? Let me know what you guys think on all that down below. But with all that said as well, we got to talk about 2 Bulls players that absolutely had good to great FIBA runs. And when you look at Hoops Hype that ranked the top players in FIBA, Nikola Vucevic and Carlik Jones ranked high on that list. Carlik Jones actually coming in as the 4th ranked player in all of FIBA basketball, according to Hoops Hype. It's not like according to everyone, but like Carlik Jones. And I want to talk about Carlik specifically here. We'll talk about Nikola Vucevic in a minute because he had a great FIBA run as well. And you look at what he did, he was ranked in the top 10 as well at number 10. But Carlik Jones, having a partially guaranteed contract with the Chicago Bulls, his role kind of being up in the air. I know some people like see this run in FIBA and he was the G League MVP and really look at him as like this player that could play a lot for the Bulls. I don't think he's going to play very much. I still don't really believe that Carlik Jones is that good of an NBA player, but you cannot doubt the run that he had in FIBA. When you look at the fact that he averaged, over 6 games, 18 points per game, 2 rebounds, 6.3 assists, but that's not really bringing it all home for him. Like Carlik Jones had just a run that you just look at when you look at the averages, right? 20 overall in the 5 games that he played, 20.4 points per game, 10.4 assists per game. He did that on having a very high efficiency. On top of that, shooting the ball 48% from the field, 41% from three-point range. For anyone that thought that Carlik Jones is going to make this Bulls roster, this FIBA run, hopefully he rides out and starts. I'm not high on Carlik Jones. I'm going to be very consistent with that and very to the point. I'm not high on Carlik. I don't think that Carlik cracks this rotation. I don't think that Carlik can get that shot off at the NBA level, but the passing, right? For a player that can average over 10 assists per game over in FIBA against some of the best competition in the world, you have to look at it and say, hey, as a facilitator and potential shooter, right? Especially if you have other players that have gravity that are going to get him open shots, Carlik could maybe take a chance. I'm not high on Carlik, and I'm not going to move off that until I see it at the NBA level. Him do this at the NBA level or something similar. I'm not expecting him to come in and averaging over 20 points per game at an NBA level. I'm not expecting that. But at the end of the day, like for Carlik, he has talent and he has some, and that's why the Bulls are keeping him in the system. I think he's still going to see a lot of him in the G League next season, just if he even makes that Bulls roster. But Carlik had a hell of a run, and he had a run for a team in South Sudan as well that has an amazing story, and a former Bull in Luau Deng putting up so much of his own money to even get that program off the ground. And you cannot overlook that. South Sudan and what they did in their run is special. This is a country that did not have basketball for a long time, that has not had the Olympic and national stage of basketball for long at all. Luau Deng just got all this together. So to have a former Bull and a current Bull be at the forefront of that team running, you got to cover it, right? And so shout out to Carlik, man. I really do hope that Carlik, he proves me wrong, proves anybody else who doubts him wrong. I'm not high on him, but if he proves me wrong, I won't be mad at it. And hopefully he does it in a Bulls uniform if he's going to prove me wrong. Because Carlik, he cooked. He absolutely cooked. He looked poised. He took the big shots. He even defended well at some times with his size, which is probably one of the biggest question marks for him defensively in the NBA. And can he get that shot off with his size? But Carlik Jones had an amazing FIBA run. But then we also have to look at our starting center in Nikola Vucevic, who had a points total of 19.8 points per game on 52% shooting from the field, 40% shooting from three-point range. He didn't take a lot of them, only taking two a game, 8.5 rebounds, 1.2 assists, right? 1.6 blocks per game. Nikola Vucevic cooked. And Nikola Vucevic is hopefully going to use that to jumpstart. Like, that's the biggest thing with Olympic play. You're coming into training camp already basically having an extended training camp and playing against high-level team. That's when FIBA, that's when the Olympics are going on. I love that, right? And so hopefully we see Nikola Vucevic come in as well and play extremely well. And I think hopefully this has woken up some people, some of the Bulls coaches' minds as well, to what Vooch can be when you put the ball in his hands. And that's what Vooch needs to be the most effective. I know we have other ball-dominant players, but I really do think playing from the inside out could help the Chicago Bulls team so much next season. And so for Nikola Vucevic and Carlik Jones to have the off seasons that they've had, hopefully they come into training camp and help set that tone and also start their season as well. And we'll see what it means. Let me know what you guys think about the FIBA tournament runs from Nikola Vucevic and Carlik Jones and just how well they've played. Do you think they're going to be able to use that to come into the season firing on all cylinders? Let me know that down below as well. But that's my time for today. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for our mailbag episodes, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, thanks to you guys. And like we like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.